Appreciate everyone showing up today. We're going to go ahead and get it kicked off here. I'm extremely excited to introduce you all to Tom Houghton. Tom is the owner and the lead consultant of Round Peg Solutions. Tom has a passion for solving problems and helping people. He loves to share new tips and tricks and has trained hundreds of businesses on various topics. At Round Peg Solutions, he helps businesses to take their big ideas and turn them into reality, and has worked in the construction technology space for 8 years now. He also has had a lot of experience specifically and actually worked at BuilderTrend. Is very knowledgeable about BuilderTrend and co-construct. And so, really that's kind of where we sort of met. It was, a while ago, but, just having his experience and, his ability to help some of our customers be able to, migrate from either of those systems onto JobTread. We've, consulted with him on multiple features that we've set up, and he's just been such a knowledgeable, helpful resource for us that, we were excited to, partner with him and make his services and offerings available to all of our customers. So I'm excited to have Tom here today, and he's going to kind of do a little presentation and, kind of also share with you all what he could, do to help your business. But without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to you, Tom.
Well, thanks, Eric. I appreciate you and, of course, the JobTread team and everyone here today. Again, love the chat questions there. If you have questions while I'm speaking, feel free to use that, or the Q&A feature. I think you can use that as well to submit questions. The goal today is that hopefully we all learn a little bit and grow a little bit, and then work towards that goal of being more profitable. So I'll dive in here and share this. There we go. All right, so today we're talking, of course, about some tips, specifically 5 keys that I've seen that have helped business maximize their profitability when they're using technology. So again, as Eric said, I'm the owner of Round Peg Solutions, and at Round Peg, we help company in really 3 key areas: marketing, technology, and of course your financials. I have traveled all over the country, all over the world, helping businesses implement technology and marketing solutions and financial work and help make their businesses more profitable. That's why I do this. I love helping businesses, and it's great to meet new people. So welcome, nice to meet all of you here, and excited to help your businesses. So of course, let's talk about the big elephant in the room, the big problem that we're here trying to solve today. And that is, of course, this. Well, it's not exactly this, but it's kind of this. So this, of course, is a DeLorean, and it's 2023. And where are the flying cars, or cars that can take us back to the future? We were promised to have this stuff sorted out by now. But if you've noticed, and you're not been living under a rock, technology is everywhere. I love this side-by-side picture, NBA finals. You've got, a long time ago, and then more recently, obviously, everyone holding up their phones and using them to capture the moment instead of living in the moment. So technology has changed every aspect of our lives. It's impacting our businesses. And I do love, I want to call out in this shot on the right-hand side with LeBron there, you can see there's one person that doesn't have their phone. I don't know, Eric, if you can see that on your screen, the guy in the very front row there with the white hair, kind of looks like Michael Caine, actually. But you noticed he's still rocking it. He's still living the old school life of just being in the moment. So kudos to him. But let's talk about technology and the recent events in our world that have impacted us. So I love this quote from Kate from McKinsey & Company. She says, the crisis, of course, she's referring to the pandemic here, has forced every company into a massive experiment into how to be more nimble, flexible, and fast. And I'm sure many of you out there have experienced this in your business. The past few years have been crazy in terms of fluctuations in interest rates, in material pricing. It's been all over the place. And so in the pandemic, I saw firsthand businesses trying to reinvent themselves, trying to stay current. And what that meant was just trying to scoop up anything that would help them. And usually that money grab or product grab, if you will, ended up to this happening, this huge technology suck. So this was the technology, and there went your money out with it. So not an ideal situation. We obviously want to stop it. And that's what, of course, we're talking about Today, we want to help you do this. And for clarity, we're not going to tell you how to print money. That's illegal. But we're going to tell you how to make your money more profitable. So let's dive in and take a look, and hopefully we'll have a little bit of fun here as we continue. So let's talk about the solution. So here are 5 keys to making yourself more profitable with technology. So the first one here is this: complacency kills. And what a great way to start off the webinar with this heavy hitter. But this is something that has impacted all businesses and all people, actually. But specifically in the business world, I want to call up one example that I think rings especially true to this. And that is this. You'll recognize, well, hopefully you'll recognize the 2 companies on the screen. Depending on your age, you might not recognize one of them. But Blockbuster versus Netflix, right? So of course, Blockbuster did not stay up current with the times, with the digital times. And so therefore, eventually they went out of business. So how does complacency impact your return on investment with technology? Well, if you're not staying up to date and you're not staying current, you can go by the wayside here. Like we saw this mega company. They completely changed the game and completely reinvented themselves. Netflix did, reinvented the process to how they interact with customers. So when we think about technology, again, the first thing we want to do is think about staying current and not just accepting what we've previously been doing, which brings me to this great little quote here. The most dangerous phrase in the language, and this isn't, of course, the English language, is we've always done it this way. That's a quote there from Admiral Grace Hopper. And she said that, of course, because, and I hear this all the time with clients when I'm asking them questions about how did they end up getting here, it's usually the statement is, well, we've always done it that way. This statement, again, just yields complacency in the team and in your processes, and that ultimately affects your profitability. Because if you're not reinventing, then ultimately you're, like I said, go by the wayside. So step 1, make sure you're avoiding complacency. And this is actually a great way. So kudos to all of you who are watching this, who have attended this. A great way to stay up to date on new technology is, of course, attending webinars and kind of adopting that always learning mentality. So well done. Kudos to you all for that. So let's move on to number 2 here. Tech plus process. So if you want to be more profitable, it's not just your process, it's also technology. But most of the time I see clients focus on one or the other of these items. So everyone just wishes there was that big easy button they could hit, and it doesn't exist. Well, technically it does exist because this picture is of that easy button that you can get from Staples. You just press it and it says that was easy. But that's all it does. It doesn't actually solve your problems, which is unfortunate. But tech plus process equals profitability. So what we've seen in companies, and I've got some data to back it up here, is that transformations are hard and digital ones are harder. So when it comes to bringing technology and process together, usually your company will have to transform and make some changes. And that's really challenging. So specifically speaking, some data from McKinsey here again, transformation success rate looks like this in most companies. So less than 30%, technically that's what their statistic shows, less than 30% of companies that are working on transforming their processes, they fail. So not a great success rate here that we're looking at. And again, this is the problem that I was seeing firsthand and why I got involved in trying to solve this process and this problem. So you'll notice from this chart here, again, we prefer charts to go the opposite way. It almost looks a little bit like Pac-Man here. So here's a quick slide, again, reminding you, of course, the percentage of pie charts that look like Pac-Man and don't look like Pac-Man. So quick little joke there aside, appreciate the 2 of you that laughed, I think, on that. I'll send you a gift card later. So, but the statistics get worse, and that's why we're showing this diminishing Pac-Man pie chart here. So, because the shocking amount is that 16% of digital transformations are successful, only 16%. So remember, 30% of transformations in general, but when McKinsey looked at the data and looked at people who are specifically implementing technology into their business and implementing digital processes in, they were widely unsuccessful. So again, not a high success rate. And that's why, again, we're kind of talking about this here today. How can we help, but also how can you make sure that you're profitable and definitely want to make sure that that you are. This leads us to one of the biggest things as part of this process. So this key is really the key that unlocks the rest of them here, and that is implementation. So how are you getting technology into your business? Uh, this is the big hurdle that I hear from everyone. In fact, actually, as an example of another statistic here that I could throw out, 100% of construction business owners that I've spoken to have said that implementing a software took longer than a year. Eric, I know that you probably feel this on your team. You have an amazing team there, a great support team who are always happy to help. And I'm sure they feel this pain too, that implementing technology into your existing processes and into your company is painful. It's really challenging. And that's, again, why I've traveled all over to help companies with this. So just a quick side note about how we help people in our partnership, of course, with JobTread in the marketplace is we offer on-site consulting for JobTread. So these pictures here are me traveling to companies, construction companies just like yours, and helping them get up and running in JobTread. Now, again, JobTread has a fantastic team with tons of resources. Anna has been amazing at all the great content. Travis as well, helping out, and the rest of the customer service team. So Eric's done a fantastic job making sure that you have an option, of course, to use them. But the question is, where do you fall kind of on what I call the pain pendulum, which is something that I was seeing is, people would adopt a new software and it would take them a long time to do that. Well, as we all know, of course, time is money. And so if your scale is a little bit unbalanced, you're going to swing one way where you're spending more time and spending more money on getting up and running into a system. And so this pain obviously is something that's felt through all transitions. Anytime you're implementing anything into your business, but specifically software in this case, it just takes time to get it right, and it takes time to adopt. It takes time for the team to get on board with this. And again, that's where we can come and help your business. So we help speed up this process. We kind of call it like a bottle rocket process, because we've helped companies get up and running in JobTread fully implemented in as little as 1 month, which is obviously extremely fast. Most companies prefer to take it a little bit slower, and so we'll adapt to you and to your needs as well. But part of that process is, again, us coming on site and helping your company learn your processes, bringing that consulting perspective. And so that way, it's not just, hey, like, do this. It's do this because this will have this effect on your company, this positive return. So again, implementation is one of the biggest keys. If you think about it, like we'll go a little bit more simple here. If you think about it with your iPhone or your Android phone, when they first invented phones, right, all they did was just talk. And now with technology, we've progressed, and you can do pretty much anything you want on your phone these days. If you wouldn't have stayed current with that, of course, you would still be using an $1,000 phone just to make phone calls, right? So the way you learned that, of course, was over time. So again, the value that we're bringing here to your company is we're truncating that time, but also bringing years of experience using these technologies and making sure that you're set up to do this with best practices and the most efficient way for your team. So again, your time is money. And of course, time is our most valuable resource in life. So what's it worth to you to end up speeding up the process ultimately? So let me do a quick pause. Eric, I didn't see, were there any questions that have come in so far?
Hadn't seen any, but yeah, I mean, guys,
Okay.
feel free to throw any out if you do have any.
Okay. I did see Kevin called out that he's got the only remaining Blockbuster in his town. Well done, Kevin. That's kudos to you. Okay, good. Well, let's move on and talk about step 4 here, and that is to simplify your processes, and specifically your tech stack. So we're going to kind of look at both in this next segment here. But this is something I see all the time from companies that I work with, which is, again, kind of going back to the COVID years, you were scooping up different products and things in order to try to solve and stay afloat and stay open. And so what happens is your tech stack ends up looking kind of like this. right? Where you're using multiple different products in order to do kind of your day-to-day operations. And just truthfully, from an outside perspective here, something that I see is that this is just a big waste of money. Even on this screen, there's one product kind of right in the middle that does a lot of this stuff for you. So that's something that, again, we can help with. And I know the JobTread team would be more than willing to help talk about that too with you, about how you can kind of consolidate. But again, one of the things we're looking at is how many products you're using in your business and how you're using those. Are you using them effectively? Because again, you might be using 10% of Dropbox, right? You're just using it to store a couple files here and there, but you're paying that monthly fee for it. And so we want to make sure that we're maximizing your usage of the products that you have, and then making sure we keep that as simple as possible, keeping your tech stack as small as possible. Another thing we look at, though, is, of course, your processes, because remember, it's tech plus process. That's how we get profitability. So sometimes we'll look at your sales process, and this is what it looks like. A new lead comes in, and now you've got this huge tree of decisions that come in after this, that we've basically over-engineered your sales process. And again, I see this all the time in construction companies. And sometimes I see maybe just one thing in the sales process where a new lead comes in, and now what? I don't know what to do with this, right? So we've helped companies all over make sure that, at least, regarding the processes, that they can be, they're the most efficient that they can be, and that you're going to get the most profitability out of that. Because the more steps you add to it, obviously, the more convoluted it can be, and ultimately not a great solution for profitability there. So last but not least, and again, we're going to kind of camp out here on this point. So the financial impact that technology has on your business, the reason this is one of the keys is that you need to make sure there's a deep link, because there is one that exists, and we're going to talk about it here in just a second. There's a deep link between technology and the financial impact in your business. So you need to be measuring this. And if you're not measuring it, step one is, of course, don't be complacent. Get in the process of figuring this out for your business. So what we specifically coach on in our business here, what I call it the see profit method. Everybody wants to see profit in their business. And so we look at three key things in their business, and that's S, E, and E. Those stand for sales, estimating, and execution. And as many of you know, if you're watching as a JobTread user, or if you've used construction project management software, these tools were made to help these three items work really well in your business. But again, what's your utilization rate of this? How far have you got this implemented in your process? So when it comes to sales, like I just said with the flow chart, is your flow chart a mess and you don't have technology in there at all? Is it a paper process? I hear that a lot from clients where, a call will come into the office and the front desk person will answer the call, and they'll take down their name and number, and that'll live on a piece of paper until somebody finds it, and 2 weeks, and we got to call that person back, right? So how can we leverage technology in order to make sure that our sales process is more effective? And so again, technology is going to be one of those answers. When it comes to estimating, full disclosure here, I love JobTread's estimating feature. In the budget tab, of course, again, if you're a JobTread user, you know how easy it is to add in items to estimate, and that way you're making sure that you're profitable, leveraging the technology that you have. And again, if you're not fully up to date on all the new great features that JobTread has rolled out, because I know at the end of the last quarter, they added a whole bunch of new features to the estimate and to the budget section in JobTread, which is great. You got to stay up to date on that. Don't be complacent. And again, when it comes to complacency, sometimes you need a buddy. Sometimes you need a friend. We can help be an accountability partner for you to make sure you're staying up to date on all the latest and greatest that JobTread has to offer. So, and then last but not least, of course, the execution, right? So how are you executing your jobs? Because of course, if you're not estimating them correctly, you're not being profitable. But if you're not executing it correctly, you're also not being profitable, right? So you've got to make sure that you have a system in place that can manage all of this for you in one place. And again, not to toot JobTread's own horn here, but they've got a great platform that will handle all three of these key elements to making sure you're financially profitable. And so this is the link between your technology and your profitability. This is that financial impact we were talking about that exists that sometimes we obviously don't see because we're too busy, making sure we've got materials on this job site or dealing with this person in the office or dealing with this customer, right? So there is a link between these two that exists. And if you're not leveraging the technology in the best way, then you won't be profitable. And most often, like I said, we see profitability leak out of these three areas. So sales, estimating, and execution. If we can get those dialed in, then we can actually see profit in your business. So that is the 5 keys that I've recognized and I've seen. Again, as a quick recap, complacency kills. That's the first one. Tech and process, right? So these two things have to go together. Of course, you need help with implementation because it's a big undertaking to do it by yourself. Again, shout out to the JobTread team for their help. If you need somebody to come on site and help train your team, we're your folks that you should reach out to for that. You got to simplify your tech stack and your processes. You got to be reviewing both of those. Don't be, again, complacent in that. Make sure you're not just adding on to things, but simplifying them in the process. Of course, you want all of this to have a financial impact. So you got to make sure your sales, estimating, execution are all dialed in to your technology there. So if we'd love an opportunity to help you with your business, roundpegsolutions.com/JobTread is how you can find us or learn more about what we offer. So you can go fill out a form there, or as Eric mentioned, of course, we are in the marketplace on JobTread, which we're super excited about this partnership and honored to be a part of JobTread's amazing product. So you can find us in the marketplace, click on Round Peg Solutions, you can fill out that form, and we'll get your information and be in touch shortly. But again, we would love to help your business make sure that you're profitable with technology. Don't do it alone. Always use a friend with that, and be happy to help. So that's what I've got for you today.
Awesome. Appreciate that run through, Tom. I mean, a couple questions here, and I'm sure, there will be more that, come in, but I mean, like, so again, obviously, we know that, JobTread can't, do everything. So I'm curious, like, what are the other technologies that you do think are, the most important for every business to have in place? And, and also, I mean, how do you determine, what the best solutions are? What do you have, like any sort of kind of framework or guideline to kind of evaluate technology like that?
Yeah, definitely. Here, I'll go ahead and stop sharing there so that way we can talk more face to face. So to answer your first question about different types of technologies, right? So you guys just mentioned JobTread specifically is partnering up with QuickBooks. So I see this, and I get this question actually a lot, which is, can JobTread or a software like JobTread replace QuickBooks? And the short answer is it can do a lot, but it can't do it all, especially in the accounting world, specifically with taxes. The CPAs of the world are going to want to see that you're still using QuickBooks to manage kind of the back end, the financials. One of the things that if, some of the clients out there that have worked with me, they know what I say, which is I call JobTread in this case the motorcycle, and the sidecar to that is QuickBooks. So they're indubitably linked, but we want JobTread to be the motorcycle with the engine that's taking you somewhere, and QuickBooks is coming along with it. So specifically speaking, to answer that first question, QuickBooks is a great addition to your business. It's something that, when we're looking at tech stacks, we're not striking that out because it is a deep integration there that we see between those two financial products. What was your second question?
I mean, so yeah, I mean, I guess, obviously we would recommend QuickBooks, for your accounting system, but, if you are looking at other, systems, I mean, maybe you need, an on-screen takeoff tool or some other, type of software. I mean, how do you go about evaluating multiple, solutions and kind of making a decision on what to implement?
Yeah, great question. Well, I think we start in the same way that most people start, which again, so we're looking at things holistically between marketing, technology, and financials. And the financial component is something that people think about most often, right? How much is this going to cost me in order to do this? And so we're definitely going to look at that first. But one thing I would challenge again, because that time is money. So there is, the old adage is true. You do get what you pay for, right? So if you spend a little bit more on maybe a takeoff software A, we'll call it, then takeoff software B, you might get more features out of it, right? That's something we're going to look at. But we're also going to look at, what's everyone's familiarity on the team with a specific product or what you're currently using. So how are you currently doing takeoffs? And how are we, how can we easily sneak in something into that to help support that process? Because again, this stuff can feel like you just got T-boned in an intersection, right? You just got hit from another car, and now your whole process, your whole systems are imploding. So again, something that we're looking at is making sure we're taking all of that into account, and a lot of that also just comes through relationships. So the first few calls of people that work with us, they'll know our process, which is that we get to know your business inside and out. We get to know your team. We get to know their strengths and weaknesses, and so that way we can make a more accurate recommendation for them to make sure that it's not just going to be completely disruptive to their business. So
Sure. Do you think, are there, have you seen kind of common, pitfalls when, implementing new technology that, kind of, it's just, similarities amongst, looking at different businesses? Like, I mean, are there things that, you've seen that's often sort of derail the implementation and adoption of technology?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, that goes back to that easy button comment, right? So someone who's struggling to figure out which end is up and how do I make my processes better, they'll grab a solution and they'll say, okay, I've got JobTread now, so it's going to solve all my problems. But the problem is, of course, if you're not using the product to its maximum, you're not going to actually see the benefit out of it. I mean, it'll help you here and there, right? You'll get a little bit of a lift here and a lift there, but you're not going to really see the value of it until you start using it completely.
Sure.
So that's really what I would say is the biggest thing that I see that withholds people from being successful and being profitable with technology is taking that needle all the way to 100% and saying, we're using all aspects of this. Now, mind you, JobTread's a super flexible program. And so whether you're a builder or a modeler or you're a specialty contractor, right, you could be using the program slightly different, which means not all features would be completely tailored to you. However, there's still value there to be had in the program. And so we're going to go find those periods, those features in the program where you're going to dive deeper and just go further. And so that way it'll kind of even out across the program in terms of utilization. So,
Sure.
but utilization is a big key one.
And what are your thoughts on, if let's say you're migrating from another system, to JobTread, a lot of times, we got people switching from all sorts of stuff. And so, there's always the question of, well, what data should I be bringing over and how do I get it over? What insights do you have there that you could share?
That is a great question. And again, something we get all the time because you've obviously used the previous system and you probably have some information there that you need to be successful in this other system. So that's one of the things specifically that our team helps with. I know your team also will help with kind of initial data migration of like cost codes and things like that. So one of the services that we offer is a full white glove migration. So we will go into your old program and remove all that data out and bring it back in. Because truthfully, it takes, and on the back end, just transparently, I share with my clients, it takes our team hours upon hours upon hours to get all of this stuff out of one and moving it to another. And so some people feel stuck, and that's why we obviously wanted to offer this service. I didn't want anyone to ever feel stuck. And I know in our own conversations about it, JobTread has a great export feature, which, obviously the goal is not to leave JobTread. It's a great program. There's no need to, but if you ever needed to get some data out of it, you can of course use that export feature. So kudos to you and the team for making sure that your program has kind of all aspects of it covered. Some other programs, unfortunately, don't have as easy of a process. And so that's, again, where our team can come in and help take some of that data out for you and put it back into JobTread for you.
Yeah, we don't have to name names right now, but man, there's nothing worse than holding customers' data hostage. And I mean, I've had that happen to me too, and it's very frustrating. And ultimately, it does, if you really want to get it out, it can be a very manual and time-consuming process. But I think a lot of times too, though, it's really having those discussions and trying to identify like what is the most critical information. A lot of times that data may have already been synced into your accounting system, and so sometimes some information may not need to come out, but other information may. And so it's really kind of figuring out like, where is all the data and what is the information that needs to be transferred. It's not always very clear cut.
No, it is not. It is a challenge. And again, that's why, again, part of the whole reason I started offering this service was I saw the pain that people were feeling and feeling trapped as well. Like, again, lost, feeling trapped. And I just don't want anybody to feel like that. And so that's why we started offering the solution to help people move and migrate and get involved and get fully implemented into the program. So
Sure. And so obviously, with your services here, I mean, it is, it's an upfront cost. I mean, how do you, how do you go about, kind of thinking, how do you, tie that into the long-term profitability, of a project and the software? And, what are your thoughts on, upfront, spending money upfront to get it set up versus, I mean, just any thoughts around that?
Yeah, great question. Usually what I tell people is that you'll easily make your money back on the money that you spend with me. Not only in just your time, right? So like, what's your time worth in spending this on your team? But also for those people who are potentially migrating from another platform, the other thing I say is you'll actually probably save money. Also, just because JobTread's a great value, so the cost of JobTread is traditionally less than some of the other solution providers in the space, and so that cost difference, you can take that cost savings for that first year and put it towards our services. And again, so it'll kind of balance out, but you'll be well better off using us, because obviously you're going to get in a whole lot faster that way. So we have a couple different plans and offerings. So specifically, like for those users out there who are currently using JobTread, we'll offer on-site training just kind of as a standalone product. Because I know that's something that we've talked about. Obviously, your team is great, but they can't be in all places at all times, right? So that's where we come in to help with that and be that arm for you guys to reach out to people. So we can come on site, and that's kind of just one fee. And then we have other fees based on, kind of length of duration and how much we're doing, basically. But typically, like I said, with we do have price points kind of all over the place, and we did that on purpose so that way we could obviously meet people where they are. But again, you're going to save the money. It may seem like a lot. Most of our clients are actually shocked at how little it costs to work with us. And again, that's just because think about all the time and effort that you would spending years getting up and running into a program. So we kind of short that again for you.
We definitely, I mean, and as much as, it sometimes pains me to, say I do typically recommend people have an overlap period, when you're switching from one system to another. And so, obviously there's, additional costs there, but the sooner you can get off the old system and, quit paying, that monthly subscription, that can definitely help. And so I've seen you've really been able to accelerate, the confidence that they are ready to pull that plug and move over. The other thing I'll say too, I mean, and you touched on a second ago, I mean, I've heard numerous times, when you go out on site and sit down with the team and are there hand in hand with them, like not just the business owners, but the entire team, like the employees and the workers and the back office, like, that's exactly how I built the first version of JobTread. When I was running that construction company, I mean, it was the FaceTime, it was the hand holding, it was sitting down, because there's always going to be a few people, or at least one, that are going to be super resistant to change. And, at the end of the day, like the best way to address that is not to come in with the heavy fist, but it's like to sit down with them and say, hey, like, let's learn about what what your day-to-day looks like today. And, are there things that we could do to help, improve your daily processes and make you more efficient? And if I could show you a better way, would you be open to that? And sometimes when you kind of have those conversations, and, it can be hard to do that, virtually sometimes as well. I mean, I'm big in person, I'd much rather meet with people in person than over Zoom, but, here we are. But that's, that's why, we're big on, in-person stuff, and we try to do, as much as we can. I mean, we've got our annual user conference, and, we may look at, hosting some more kind of quarterly, in-person events. But at the end of the day, like you said, like we can't, we've only got so many of us. And so it's just not feasible for us to have to travel out to every single, company to help them get this implemented. But man, like when you can do that, like it really does create that, that group buy-in. And, I think that's what I've heard that feedback, from pretty much everyone you've gone out to and helped get implemented, is like, I see, 100% adoption, like very, very, good, confident, users at the end of that experience. And, so I would attest to the value of that. And that's why we're excited to have you, willing and able to travel around and do that.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate the feedback. That's good. That's great to hear. I would echo what you said, right? Which is when I come on site out with teams, and I even say this to clients, because we'll start over Zoom, of course, and I'll be meeting people and we'll be asking questions. And I'll say, one of you right now will wait until I'm on site to ask that question. So like, even though we'll build up the relationship, right? They'll be fearful to ask that one question that they feel like is a bad question, but it will probably be a great question. They just want somebody to be on site. There's just something about being in person
Yeah.
that you can't replace, unfortunately. And I think that's that trust that's there. And again, when clients work with me, it becomes a priority, right? So ultimately, your main priority is keeping the lights on in your business. That's the profitability. And so we grab this technology product and we think it's going to, solve the problems, and it can, as long as you use it and make it a priority. But obviously, Eric, I know you've worked in the business. I've worked in the business of building things and in terms of construction, and there's a lot that goes on. And so
Yeah.
your days get packed pretty quickly. And so it's hard to kind of carve out that time and make sure that you make it a priority. And so again, that's kind of the benefit of working with us, is that we're going to help make sure it is a priority for your business. And again, kind of make sure we're holding you accountable to seeing this to success in your business.
Yeah. And so, and if I understand, there's typically a period before you would come on site, like you would spend time, via Zoom or working with people ahead of time to get kind of things in place and understanding the process. Is that, kind of what is that? What does the full process look like?
Yeah, great question. Yeah. So typically, most people will work with us for a 2-month period. And so that first month, we're meeting via Zoom, getting to know each other. I'm getting to know your business. We're taking notes on your processes. We're potentially getting data out of another system. And so, really, we're kind of doing the build up to the on-site, which happens in between those first 2 months. And so, the on-site is meant to be, 2 days of full dive into the product, make sure that all processes are streamlined, made efficient, and that everyone understands. Because that's, again, a great point. One of my favorite things I love doing is actually meeting with the field crew, because you'd be surprised how hard it is to get people to adopt something as simple as clocking in and out from their phone. But when I come on site, we hold a big team meeting with the field crew, and we'll walk through and we'll practice this together, and we'll
Nice.
answer all those questions. And that, again, is where we see, after that meeting, adoption from the field crew goes from 0 to 100%.
Yeah.
Sure, there's always some questions that come up, of course, but we answer those and we address them to make sure that from that day forward, everyone is doing what they need to do in order to be successful in their role with the technology. So, and then we use the second month typically, again, just to kind of refine processes, refine the system, make sure that everyone's running at 100%. And like I said, sometimes it takes longer, sometimes it takes shorter, depending on your team's time and availability. And so we kind of customize and adjust and shift according to that. But that maybe gives you a little bit bigger insight into the process and how it works.
Sure. And we've had a handful of questions. Some have come in directly. Sorry, I haven't responded to everyone, but just about what is the cost for your service? I mean, it sounds like there are various kind of packages, and so do you have a ballpark or a way to give that
Yeah,
out? Is it something that they need
great
to reach out
question. Yeah.
to and kind of have a
Yeah.
one-on-one with, or?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, of course, we'd love you to reach out, so that way we can learn more about your specific situation. But ballpark cost, you're looking at anywhere kind of on the low end, about $3,500. On the high end, for like our full white glove migration, you're looking probably over 10 grand, just to give you an idea. So it's a pretty big range.
Yeah.
And most of the people fall kind of in the middle of that. But again, we're going to customize the solution for you to make sure it fits your business. So I would ask, if you're interested, reach out. And I would love to help. Again, because so our pricing, when we approach that too, we know there are some other solution providers that offer this, and they typically charge more than we do. So we said, oh, we could charge more as well, but that's not my heart in this. My heart is wanting to make sure that businesses can do this and be profitable. And we're not out to make a killing. We're out to make sure people actually are successful with the products that they're using. So.
Yeah, and I'd say, kind of just to echo, I mean, it really, like, how old is your business? What systems have you been using? How much data is there? Do you need to move data? Where are you at with your JobTread implementation? There's so many factors. The on-site, like, is that something that you want to do? Don't want to do? Like, I can imagine that it does take kind of a little bit of discussion to really learn kind of where it's at. And I appreciate you not just having that kind of flat hourly rate, just one price fits all, because every business is unique and kind of their journey and along the way. And so I can appreciate you really being willing to customize that package based on each client's needs.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Again, we're here to help. The reason I am excited to wake up the next day and work is to help these businesses. I have a real heart for this industry. Over 90% of our clients, I'd probably say closer to 95% of all the clients that we work with at Round Peg Solutions are actually in the construction industry. Having worked in the industry and obviously having been in the construction tech industry for a long time, there are so many great people in this industry. And so I'm just excited to be a part of their businesses. We always say we're part of your team. So I have clients that still reach out years after we work with them because, again, we want you to be successful in this. So it's exciting to partner with them.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time here today. And, it sounds like, for everyone out there, if you have, specific questions, as Tom said, directly on the JobTread marketplace, you can reach out, get in contact. He'll, probably assume have a phone call or Zoom call and, kind of really learn a little bit more about your specific business and, what he can do to help. But, as always, we're also here and, we'll help get you connected if need be. But appreciate everyone coming out. Tom, thanks for sharing your insights here today and, for being a valued partner to JobTread and for helping all of our customers to, get JobTread implemented. It's, it's been a challenge, scaling and growing as fast as we have. So we appreciate you, being a resource and helping them out. And, look forward to seeing many more successful implementations.
Thanks, Eric. Appreciate you and the JobTread team and excited to work with all of you.